Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a tree skirt for your Christmas tree. So the first thing that I did, and how I kind of came up with this idea, is I was going through all my fabric. I'm the type of person that likes to save just all my scraps. Ever since I was little, my mom would just have different scraps, and I was able to kind of create a lot of different stuff out of it. And so what I did last year is I looked through my scrap box and I found that I had all of this Christmas fabric, but it was all weirdly shaped, or I didn't have enough to do really much with it. And so what I ended up doing is I kind of came up with how I make my tree skirts. So I took pieces and I tried to cut them so that they were rectangles. And then what I did with those rectangles is I cut the rectangles diagonally. And so when I cut it diagonally, it kind of made two different, almost like right triangles. And with those right triangles, I was able to really utilize a lot of the fabric because it was kind of weird shapes, and I was able to form them into a big circle. And so I laid them all out on the ground, and then I would kind of like just try to match it. And so I liked having it a little more bright and cheery, and the different fabrics spread out. I took each of those pieces, so here's kind of an example. Each of those pieces, as you can see, that's kind of a triangle, and I laid them all out, and then when I sewed them together, I would sew like right side together on the edge, so that way when I flipped it over, the seam was hidden underneath. And so if you look at the back side of this, we see all of those seams, but the front side looks nice and clean. And so I kind of, after I got it in order, just went around, sewed all of the seams together, and then it created a full circle. It looks like if you just lay it flat, like it's not going to fit around the tree, but if you kind of lift the middle a little bit, like normally it would be when you have a tree stand, then you'll realize that your circle doesn't have to be fully complete for it to work. It can be almost a little less than a full circle, because once you prop up the middle, then it ends up closing that circle off. Some tips I learned from doing this before was I almost liked it better when I left the edges rough. And so when they're kind of a little bit of different sizes, you can kind of see here and there, it almost gives it a little more character. When I went ahead and with my first tree skirt went ahead and cut those edges off, it ended up oddly less professional. The second thing is you could go the extra mile and like fold this edge over, whatever your end edge is, and sew like that nice and shut. Maybe put some strings on it to tie it. Personally, I just did this for fun and quickly, and so to me it's not worth doing that. But if you want to gift this to somebody and really like go that extra mile, you can totally add some strings to tie it closed. You could also go to the top hem and maybe fold that over to make it look nicer. Again, I think the rough look just adds something to it, where it looks more intentional. And so that would be my tip for you, is leave the edges and then add that string if you want to, or if you're gifting it. Overall, I think this is a really fun activity. It's super easy. All you gotta do is be able to sew in a straight line. Something that you could do with some leftovers you have, or you can go out and buy some fabric. I hope that this helped you find a use for some of your favorite Christmas fabric.